December 26, 2004, a tourist camera captured a bizarre phenomenon. The ocean water was receding, exposing the ocean floor as if it was being drained. Crowds of people gathered to watch this weird occurrence. What they didn't know was that thousands of miles deep in the Indian Ocean was a massive wave that was building and was speeding towards them. You see, a 9.1 magnitude earthquake had erupted just off the coast of Indonesia, one of the strongest recorded at the time. However, the destruction didn't come from the shaking, but from the ocean. Within minutes, the earthquake spiked a massive tsunami, deadly waves speeding out in all directions across the Indian Ocean. The ocean water traveled at 500 miles per hour, heading straight for shores of India, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, and beyond. And in about only an hour, the waves hit the coast of Thailand. There were no sirens to warn people, and this proved to be very deadly. On the beaches, tourists and civilians stared at the water, and some even moved towards the exposed ocean floor, trying to understand what was happening. However, they quickly realized they were in mortal danger. The first waves crashed in, rising up to 30 feet, striking with such destructive power, sweeping away people, homes, hotels, and anything in its path. In Thailand alone, 5,400 people were killed, including 2,000 tourists who had traveled there for a peaceful vacation. But unfortunately, Thailand was just the first of many to come. Over the next 7 hours, the tsunami reached as far as East Africa, striking coasts of India, Sri Lanka, and Somalia. Entire communities, cities were destroyed in mere minutes. The waves struck with little to no warning, dragging thousands into the ocean. Children, villages, and everything disappeared. Survivors were left clinging onto trees, rooftops, and debris, shocked at what was going on. By the time the tsunami stopped, 228,000 people were dead in across 15 countries. This would go down as one of the most deadliest and tragic ends in human history. July 2022 was a terrible time for northwest Spain as wildfires were at the peak, destroying everything in their paths, prompting citywide evacuations. But not for one man. 50-year-old Angel Martin of Jana refused to run. Not out of recklessness, but out of love for his community. In a desperate attempt to protect his town from the giant flames, Angel Martin got into his excavator in attempts to dig a trench big enough to stop the fire. However, he forgot one simple detail. Wildfires are very quick and unpredictable, especially in the severe heat wave Spain was experiencing at the time. And in mere seconds, the excavator was engulfed in the fire, with Martin still inside. The crowds of people watching were stunned as the excavator vanishes behind the brutal flames. Praying by some stroke of luck, Martin manages to survive. Miraculously, Martin emerges from the flames, but his entire body is covered in fire. He stumbles out, slapping his clothes in attempts to put it out as he runs to safety. But by the time the fire is put out, his clothes are reduced to rugs, and he unfortunately managed to sustain severe first-degree burns, though he did survive.
Three, two, one, and liftoff.
On January 20th, 1986, NASA's 25th shuttle mission, the Challenger, was launched. Millions of Americans gathered to witness history in the making. The event was broadcast beyond the US. The reason for this was that this was the first time a civilian, a local high school teacher, Krista, and 6 other astronauts were involved for the first time. The countdown reached 0 and the Challenger was lifted off. But what happened next was one of the most horrifying things in American history. 70 seconds after launch, disaster struck. The shuttle exploded. At first, many thought it was part of the launch until debris started descending with twisting smoke trails. Silence from mission control as millions witnessed a major failure. The shuttle was disintegrated mid-air 4,000 feet above the Atlantic Ocean, and unfortunately, there were no survivors. The investigations that followed showed that a small rubber seal caused everything. Shadow missions were put on hold and 7 people lost their lives.